Hello, you're watching Proactive London. I'm joined by Dr. Vladislav Sandler. He's the CEO of Hemogenics Pharmaceuticals. Vladik, you're up with an operations update this week, and it looks like you're making good progress with preparations for your Hemo CAR T clinical trials. Can you tell us more?
Yes, absolutely. First of all, thank you for inviting me again. So we just a couple of days ago, we released an operations update that describes main areas of activities of our company. I would say that it's subdivided into three different parts. One is related to our Hemo CAR T program. The second part is our chimeric beta receptor platform, CBR, and the third one is CDX bispecific antibodies. So we could go through these areas one by one.
Okay, maybe starting with the Hemo CAR T, because you have added an additional clinical trial site, which you say is going to enhance the scope of the trial, but also speed up the timeline.
So we decided to open an additional clinical site. So we added this additional prestigious US medical center to our list of clinical trial sites. So we believe that this will enhance the scope and also speed up the timeline for the implementation of clinical trials. So we are setting up clinical sites at the University of Pennsylvania, Penn, and the new medical center, in parallel. We don't know which one is gonna come first, but they are like two horses competing right now. So we think that this multi-step. So we know that to set up a clinical site is a multi-step process that involves different reviews, internal reviews by the, for example, science review committees inside a hospital, and the internal review board of clinical sites, as well as very difficult and detailed budget negotiations and logistic planning. So logistic planning is extremely important because we will be getting cells from the patient. These cells need to be shipped to our site in Manhattan, New York, processed, manufactured, then frozen and shipped back for the injection of the patient. So this needs to be planned extremely carefully, and we cannot allow any slip up because ultimately the life of the patient is on the line.
Vladik, you also say you're expanding Hemo CAR T to include pediatric indications. Can you expand on that?
Right. So from the very beginning, when we started developing Hemo CAR T, we looked at different possible indications for this CAR T program, and we saw different directions we could go. And we chose relapsed and refractory acute myeloid leukemia as the primary indication because this is the largest group of patients that need help. However, from the very beginning, we knew, and we actually even reported in one of our RNSs that our Hemo CAR T could possibly be used for for a subset of acute lymphoblastic leukemia. We did not specify at that time if it were pediatric or adult, but now we looked carefully at what is possible, and we consulted with third-party key opinion leaders, and all of them advised us that indeed we have a good chance to treat pediatric acute myeloid leukemia and a subset of pediatric acute lymphoblastic leukemia. And when we're talking about pediatric acute lymphoblastic leukemia, ALL, we're talking about an indication where with probably highest unmet need. So basically kids and especially infants that get this ALL, they don't have much in terms of there is not much one can offer to these kids and these infants. So we have a chance to make a real difference in the lives of these kids and their families.
Vladek, can you give us an update on progress with your CBR platform, please?
Right, our CBR platform, we call CBR, it's a chimeric beta receptor platform. So this is an advanced immunotherapy that is designed to reprogram or redirect innate immune cells, for example, macrophages, to prevent and combat infections from both existing and emergent viral threats, as well as to eliminate specific types of cancer. So currently, we are heavily involved in the development and testing. So we are developing and testing multiple CBR constructs to identify the best candidates for targeting rare cancers, such as, for example, epithelial ovarian carcinoma. So these selected candidates will and are undergoing rigorous testing to advance them to an IND-enabling studies. So basically, we are looking at different variations of different constructs of CBR to choose the best to advance ultimately to the clinic. We also, some time ago, we also reported that we figured out how to deliver CBR in the form of messenger RNA, mRNA, to the upper respiratory tract of people via intranasal delivery. So we are testing, we are going forward with this program, and we're testing again different constructs. And we see good results, and eventually we will report on these good results, and hopefully one of the constructs that we're developing for the treatment of viral infections will go into the clinic.
Okay, and then finally, in the update, you also spoke about your IND-enabling studies for CDX. Can you explain that?
Well, CDX is a bispecific antibody that originally was developed for the treatment of relapsed and refractory acute myeloid leukemia, conditioning of bone marrow transplants, and a few other indications, possibly also pediatric indications. So that was our first product candidate that was advancing towards clinical trials, and we co-developed this antibody together with Eli Lilly, and then got the rights for this antibody from Lilly back to the company. So currently we are advancing this bispecific antibody through IND-enabling studies, and this means that we are making a cell line that will be used for the production of GMP quality of this antibody to be used for IND-enabling animal studies, for example, monkey studies, and ultimately in the clinic.
Vladek, thank you very much for the update today. I hope you'll keep us posted on progress on all three of those programs.
Thank you so much.
That's Dr. Vladislav Sandler. He's the CEO of Hemagenics Pharmaceuticals.